no sense, but I'm here. I'm Tom Connors. We have some fine gentlemen here this afternoon, evening, whatever it is, where you is. We have Clobbering Times. How are you doing?
All right. Hey, man. Doing well. Great to see you. Thanks for having me here. Good to see your buddies on the panel and friends in the chat.
Glad to have you. We also have with us CC Karaoke. How you doing?
It's cold outside. Making it through the Siberian air mass.
You're in Canada. It's cold out there every day.
Yeah, but I live on the West Coast where it's kind of like not that cold. Except right now it's really cold.
Touche. Also with us, we have Price of Reason. How you doing, sir?
Oh, I was on mute. I'm doing good. How are you?
Hanging in there, doing the best I can. Glad to be here, though. We also have, I'm glad. We also have Nick Weiser here. How you doing?
Good, man. Happy to be here. Hello to you, Clobby, CC Price, and hello, Chat and Wrenches. Let's go.
Let's go and do it again. Hit that smash that like button, just like D. Bud Martin says here. We appreciate that. At the channel, we got Duck Nation, Darcipio, RJ Godzilla's here. Lance Corporal Waffles is here. Mard's Monkey Max is here. At Mamina is here. Me and my monkey are here. This is the name of the gentleman, not me personally, and I don't have a monkey. Although I think it'd be funny if I had a monkey. We have Don Johnson here, who looks like he's in blackface. We also have Indie Phantom, Daryl Brewer, and so many more Hamdingers here as well. Hit the like button, share out the link, let everybody know that we are live at 5 on the, what is it, Mountain Time? I don't even know anymore. I get so screwed up when it comes to the time zones. But yeah, welcome to the program, guys. It is Thursday afternoon. It is the 11th day of the month. We are getting a shit ton of snow where I'm at. I don't know how your guys' weather is where you are, but sounds like a lot of the Midwest is getting slammed.
Oh yeah, we're about to get slammed. Apparently, really good starting later tonight, Tom.
Same. Yeah, and I know you and I are not exactly that far apart, but we must be pretty close to the same kind of weather pattern because.
Oh yeah, close enough. We're going to be simultaneously affected at the very least.
So similarly, which was funny because when I went down to Milwaukee to the thing, I was like chasing, like behind. I was in front of. It was chasing me. The fucking rainstorm the whole way down there. But yeah. But anyway, go ahead.
We got about 32 inches here, followed by about 3 days of extreme cold, followed by another big snowstorm. So. Yeah, winter's arrived. It wasn't here in December, but it's here now.
You keep it up there, dude. How do you survive and get, like, what do you stock up on as far as, like, supplies to get through when these kind of things happen? It's just a pain for me to go to
propane accessories.
I was going to say, well, I mean, like, god dang, man. Like, a lot of frozen foods, I'd imagine.
Well, I could just stick the food outside and it'd be all right. Yeah, that's a good freezer.
Right. But yeah.
Electricity is always good too.
Well, yeah. But I'm just trying to take, like, because I, even when it happens to me, Elise is like, well, I got to figure for at least 3-4 days, go down to the grocery store or get whatever for amenities and all that kind of stuff. I can't imagine how tough it is for you just to get things like milk. If you would drink it.
Yeah, but it's about a 40-minute drive to the Walmart if I need to go there. I just assume that the garbage is frozen shut right now, so I make sure I've already taken the garbage out before it freezes.
Right.
Because I'll never get the lid open. Stuff like that. And then, the real people who have no idea what's going on and got in way over their heads, they let their pipes freeze. And then you see the poopsicle coming out of the rigs. That's always fun. Somebody has to come in with a blowtorch and melt the poopsicle. Not kidding. I'm talking literal like crap spilling out of their pipes.
I think Emperors is talking about a problem you may have, though. If you put too much food outside, bears would come steal it.
Yeah. Of course, if it's frozen, but
the noise they make. They're hungry. Well, of course, now they should be hibernating anyway. But that being said, let's get into our news and topics and stuff since we didn't have nothing else pressing us in the chat wise. David Gordon Greene has exited as I say that, we get 2 super chats from Warrior Justice. I'll tell you what, we'll come back to those right after we get through this story. Warrior Justice, we appreciate that. Who sent in two $10 super chats. Actually, it looks like identical super chats.
Yeah, they look very identical.
Sorry if you didn't mean to do that. You might want to check with Google. But I'm going to get into this story and then we'll get back to that. David Gordon Green has exited the Exorcist sequel as Universal and Blumhouse search for new director, and the date has also been pushed off as well, as no surprise. So David Gordon Green has exited Exorcist Deceiver, which has been removed from Universal's release calendar and replaced with Antoine Fuqua's Michael Jackson biopic, which we'll talk about in just a few minutes here, arriving April 18th, 2025. Meanwhile, Green is in production on Nutcrackers, starring Ben Stiller and season 4 of HBO's Righteous Gemstones. The Exorcist Believer failed to conjure up the big bucks at the box office and received frighteningly bad reviews, with Variety chief critic Owen Gleiberman writing, "The cliches of demonic possession pile up with dutiful nostalgia, but they've lost their shock value." Believer brought in $65 measly million at the box office, plus $70 million internationally. Green wrote the screenplay with Peter Sattler, and shares a story by credit with Scott Teems and Righteous Gemstones mastermind Danny McBride, who also wrote and executive produced Green's Halloween trilogy. Exorcist Believer is set 50 years after and serves as a direct sequel to William Friedkin's masterpiece, which was the first horror movie to be nominated for Academy Award and Best Picture. Ellen Bernstein showed back up. And basically, just before he died, William Friedkin cursed your asses. And he's laughing right now. So yeah, what's your guys' reaction to this? I don't think this is much of a surprise to anyone. I think we all kind of predicted this when the movie fell off a cliff, especially after they spent $400 million just to acquire the rights.
Oh my goodness, that much?
Yeah. And I think that was just for a trilogy. That wasn't even to buy the rights or anything.
Oh, okay.
Well, this spells out disaster, really. I mean, this is obviously not how they want everything to go, and I'm not surprised that David Gordon Green made this move. And I don't know what Universal's intentions were, besides hoping that The Exorcist will continue to succeed. But man, it's sad that this is a gamble that absolutely didn't pay off in any sense of the word. So, this franchise kind of spells like it's doomed.
I mean, normally
Agreed.
I'd see losing a director as a bad thing, but in this case, it can't possibly get worse. So
it's doomed. Like, seriously, you look at what's going on, how bad it turned out. It's for I'm not even talking about how the movie is, but just about his performance. This thing is doomed. This is absolutely screwed. I would say just cut your losses and get rid of it. But Hollywood has a habit of not learning the right lessons a lot. So I will not be surprised if they try again.
Well, they almost have to because they spent too much money. They can't afford not to.
The question is, what are they going to do now? How do they continue if they don't like the story the guy laid out in the first one? How can they really correct it in the second one?
Well, you give it to somebody like me and Script Doctor, maybe. I don't know.
There you go.
Because like at this point, what I would do is pick up where the ending of the movie left off, and you have where it should have been from the first place, and that is Reagan playing a bigger role,
right?
In this
At
movie.
least that.
Yeah. Well, here's the issue with that, Tom. Even if let's just say you, Script, or anyone just comes in, makes a much better movie, the damage is done to this franchise because
you're not wrong.
That's the real actual issue with this is how bad the damage is done because this movie's performance. It's one of those things where you're coming in or Script, whoever, and you're trying to redeem this thing, but you already have lowered enthusiasm than it already was. It's kind of like the equivalent of when BVS had a not to throw in Zack Snyder, but because it's relevant, had a high box office opening, and then along comes Justice League a year and a half later, and it didn't matter if Justice League were to be good or not because it paid for the sins of the father. And that's basically the position anyone would be in to make another one, at least for another 10 years.
I loved the first movie, but nobody cared about it even before the new one came out. You have to actually make people care about the franchise before you're going to get people to come out, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I've argued in the past, this is not really a franchise. It's
No,
had
it should have been one movie, like many
well, it's
other
had 2
movies.
good movies, and then it's had 2.5 bad movies.
Mhm.
And what that
Two and
means
a
is,
half.
well, I'm serious because you had
I'm not
you had
arguing.
Exorcist, then you had Exorcist 2, which everybody hated. Then you had
Mhm.
Exorcist 3, which everybody loves.
Mhm.
It is kind of the true sequel to The Exorcist in a way. Then you had Exorcist the beginning, and that was made twice. And that's why I say half, because depending on which version you may like or dislike on that one, it's kind of weird, but that's a prequel. And then they do this, which is X amount of years way after the fact. And they were trying to cash in on the whole Halloween thing. And that was lightning in a bottle. That was a one time event. That took everybody by surprise. And I pointed that out when it came out. I was like, I don't think even nobody in their wildest dreams could have predicted that the Halloween 2020 or 2018 movie was going to outgross the entire franchise to that point. And when I say that, I'm not even being like hyperbolic at all. Like the box office return for Halloween 2018 was more than the entire franchise put together.
Mhm.
You're
You
not
know,
going to regenerate that
No.
again.
I
No,
think
you're
that with
definitely
Halloween,
not.
you also had a character like Michael Myers. Once you have a Jason, a Freddy Krueger, a Michael Myers, when it comes to the marketing and the return of such a character, and especially they're saying, oh, we're going back to the roots, I think that they somehow hit some kind of nostalgia chord. But with The Exorcist, it doesn't have that same type of it doesn't have that same type of Freddy,
No,
Jason, or Michael Myers. And I think that in that sense, it was probably more difficult to market it. And I don't it doesn't I know
I
there's
think you're
people
right,
that
Price.
yeah, it's more artsy. I would say that it's more of like an artsy movie. As weird as that sounds, I consider it a more artistic movie. It's not just Jason with a machete.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's a good point too. And Halloween worked again, 20 years prior to that. It only works once every 20 years, basically, right? Like that
Right.
seems to be the case for a
Yeah.
lot of these franchises. And I agree with you. This is also not a franchise like the other
No,
horror
it's not
franchises. So you
franchise.
can't try to treat it like one either.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it doesn't
Well,
have
it's
an established character or established baddie that you could sell as a franchise. I don't understand why they keep making these things.
It's a great point. They paid $400 million for it. Maybe I would hope they got the rights to sell the original movie. That might get
Nope.
them something. Maybe
Nope.
not even that.
Nope.
But
That's
just
what I've
the
been
right
pointing
to
out.
make a new one.
All
Wow.
they got out of this, they didn't even get all this is they got the right to make a trilogy, and I don't even know how many years they have to do that in. So if they don't even get it done, that means they'll forfeit
Just a
that right.
trilogy.
Yes,
Like
that's
can't
what I've
even
been
make
saying.
T-shirt like the 50 T-shirts they might sell. They can't even make anything from that.
Well,
No.
they can benefit off of anything that's related to Exorcist Believer.
It's not really bankable that much.
Uh,
It's just as a
Yeah, no,
as a
unless it's the
franchise at
original
all.
film, people don't really
No.
care.
And even that's a
And
book and a movie, and
yeah, I mean, at this point, it's 50 years old. The first film is considered a movie in the pantheon of like Citizen Kane and Wizard of Oz and Gone with the
Right.
Wind and Godfather. You leave it alone.
yes.
Was this sequel even that bad? I didn't fucking hate it. Even Andre didn't hate it. He kind of liked it. So like at that point, it's like, sure, it's okay for what it is, but did we need it? No.
No.
What did they spend 400 million on? Nothing. They literally just got the rights to make a movie because Morgan Creek still retains the rights when it's all said and done. Warner Brothers owns the first 2 movies. So at the end of the day, the movies are still scattered out throughout Warner Brothers and Morgan Creek is the way it is. And I think Warner Brothers
Yeah.
still owns distribution on 3, 4, and 3 and 4 and 4.5 or whatever you want to call it. So like they're still, like you said, unfortunately, they're not even going to get the benefit of the 50th anniversary edition that just came out here this last year. That's all Warner Brothers in their pocket. So yeah.
A waste.
wow.
What a waste.
I didn't hate it either. I remember you and I were talked about it because we went to the advanced screenings or
It
whatever it
has
was.
some elements, yeah, to it that were
It wasn't flawless. It had some issues,
Yeah.
especially with
Oh,
the
yeah.
priest and the thing that the kind of anti-patriarchy or whatever. There was a few silly things in there that didn't help, but I still think I agree with you. Even if it would have been a much better movie, I still don't know that more people would have turned up for it.
Oh no. The unique thing it had going for it was that the whole, and it's in the trailer, so I'm not really spoiling anything for anybody. But when the girls say God played a trick on you, and it sets up the whole third act of the film. And that part of it to me is the uniqueness of the movie. You have the two girls at the same time simultaneously being possessed and that whole thing. Those are the only elements of the movie that I found interesting and unique. The rest of it was nothing but rehash or modern bullshit. Like all the bullshit with the nun / nurse lady or whatever.
Yes, that
All
was
the
bad.
bullshit. Yeah, all the bullshit with you know, Reagan's mom and shit in it. All that stuff was so horrible. So horrible. Like it's a very weird kind of balance of okay stuff mixed with horrible stuff mixed with some unique kind of good stuff. So it is kind of a very mixed bag at the end of the day. And I got to watch it again to kind of get another um just to kind of because like the first time I went to see it, I expected to hate it. It's like hate it. And then when I walked out, I'm like, I didn't hate it. And you said the same thing, Price.
Yes, I think that we both felt that it wasn't the worst movie, but it probably could have been better.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the end of the movie, I think, promises a better sequel that we never were going to get anyway.
Right.
Yeah. And thank you for asking about the dentist today, Jay Price. It was pretty uneventful, but thank you. So yeah, just more bullshit as usual.
That's
But
see,
yeah,
I mean, one thing I guess we'll say to wrap it up.
Yeah.
What's the point? Seriously, of putting out a sequel that you're going to lose even more money for. Like, I don't know how many years they're allowed to hold on to this unless it has to fall in other hands. But think about it. You put on another sequel 2, 3, 4 years and it bombs even harder than this one. Wouldn't it be a bigger, like, save more money just to not put it out? Because at least with the Halloween of Rob Zombie's atrocity, that second movie, and then Halloween 2018, there was an 8-year gap. Almost a whole generation moved by. So they at least had that going for them. And on top of that, bringing the band back together with Carpenter and Jamie Lee Curtis. This isn't there was a band together for this one with that one girl, but there's nothing like that as investment wise that Halloween was.
Yes and no. Here's the problem with this.
Okay.
It's that fucking $400 million they spent. Because if they hadn't spent that, the budget for this movie was only $30 million. So it would have technically been profitable.
Yeah.
Like just barely. And so that would have been a good kind of move for Peacock to be able to throw it on Peacock, because that's the other thing that was part of it too. So there's an argument to be made that the movie itself was profitable, but the problem is then you have to take that $400 million that they spent and split that up over 3 movies. So that basically means you got to add like 135 point whatever million to each one of these fucking movies before they even go before the camera. Right. So that means right off the bat, this movie's budget was basically, and this is just splitting up the 400 million. That means this movie's budget was well over $150 million, right? At the end of the day. So that's the problem you have there. So there was no way this movie was going to make back the $600-700 million it was going to need to make to be profitable. Now, what they can do is make another one, but make it even cheaper. Like you got to go super fucking cheap. That's a problem though. Because then it's like, well, who is going to be able to get in the movie? Well, if you can just afford, I guess, to get what's her face who plays Reagan? I just forgot her damn name, Linda Blair. If you can get her for dirt cheap, fine. That's about all you got going for you at that point. I mean, otherwise, you might as well let the other chick play Christy. I just forgot her name now too. It says it in here too. Where's that?
They'll probably hire
Ellen
Jordan
Bernstein. If Ellen Bernstein can even survive that long, right? Because she's in her fucking 90s. Like at this point, like, yeah. Anyway, as far as Jordan Peele, he's too expensive, Price.
Maybe he'll do them a favor. They gave him that Get Out movie. You know what I mean?
I don't want him to touch it though.
I don't either, but I'm saying that I feel like that's the first call. That
even if he does, he's gonna tank it. Let's be real. He's gonna tank it. This is not a wait for it to come out and see. He's going to tank it. At best, he'll maybe have his built-in audience of 5 people. They'll show up, and then those 5 people will be like, "Oh wow, this maybe didn't work," and then boom, it's done. This is what I mean. This is everything about this is straight up D-Day. Everything.
I think Price hit on it. You can't really franchise this. The best you can do is tell good stories. And in terms of just the basic exorcism concept, you could make lots of movies with that concept, have new characters, tell a good story, film
its
it
own
well,
genre as it is,
and build up that word of mouth and that reputation that,
And-
oh, hey, there's a new Exorcist movie coming out. It'll probably be good because the last ones were.
And that reputation is going to take a long time to even gain that fan base back because of the amount of money they spend. That's the thing, as Tom mentioned, that killed this thing is how much money they spend to get this property on their side. Honestly, I think that was a really dumb move for them to spend $400 million to own this property for something that, even if you like the sequels, The Exorcist is pretty much a timeless movie. It should have been in an ideal world a one and done movie that didn't need a sequel. It's one of those lightning in a bottle flicks that didn't need it. But of course, once again, Hollywood doesn't learn. They don't learn. So they're reaping what they sow. I don't get me wrong. I do feel bad that this bombed the way it did, but at the same time, on the other hand, I don't feel as much sympathy because of 400 million. This is not something that's worth 400 million, especially in current year.
You can bet we're going to get 5 Friday Nights at Freddy's movies.
Oh yeah. Oh god.
And that second one is going to do huge after the first one.
Probably will, but
and they won't spend much on it.
No, and that's the thing. That and good on them for them being able to pull that off the way that they did. I didn't see it, but obviously it was made super cheap and it was very, very profitable.
Well, and that's the kind of thing the kids are into. The kids don't know what an Exorcist is.
Oh yeah, and you know what?
But here's the thing: there's one other option they have, I think, but I don't even know if this is an option, and that is to remake the original. But I don't know if they can. Because I don't know if they have the rights to it. I don't think they do, because the series they did a couple of years back was a sequel to the original. This is a sequel to the original. Because at this point, like you just said, it's a dead franchise. Nick, your only option then is to take a break for a couple years and literally remake the original. Now, I'd say that's fucking sacrilege, and I don't.
Yeah, that is.
Money, but like that's your only other option at this point, right? Like, what else do you do? I don't know.
Yeah, this was a bad move. Whoever signed off the idea of $400 million was absolutely stupid. This put them in a bad position that they're not going to recover from for a long time. Yeah, I'm not going to ever defend the idea of a remake, but sadly that would probably get them the most money because they would get that built-in audience. But what happened, once again, even then, you're going to have so many people who are going to rip this thing apart for whatever changes they will make, because they would, because they want to modernize it to the sensibilities, and they're going to get shredded for that.
Never make it into a modern version that's in the original. Exactly.
Well, you could take out the Christianity stuff that apparently this recent movie was
Well,
trying
that was
to
the problem with
too.
the recent movie.
Yeah, that's why I've been told from people who like the first.
Price and I rewrote the movie in our little review we did, and I think it would have been a better movie, because. And that was one of the biggest problems with the movie, is this idea that they had to have this Avengers of fucking religions. It's like, no, you leave it the way it was. The Catholic religion has this as a practice for a reason. It was always the Catholic religion for a reason. You leave it alone. Right.
Agreed.
I didn't mind the idea of having like this other religious aspect brought into it. And that kind of plays into the end of, kind of like you have this incident in the beginning where you're like, is that a witch doctor or what's going on here? Now that they could have utilized better later on, but they really don't all that much. It's there, but it's not. But like Price and I just kind of rewrote the movie real quick on a quick, like 20-minute thing, if that. And it's like, it would have fixed a lot of the problems with the movie. And you got to excise this idea though of all these other religions, right? Because that's not what The Exorcist is. Because that's, again, like with anything like Star Wars or anything else, it would be like taking the Force out of it, right? And saying, well, there's many different forces, not just one. You know what I mean?
Right. And they Last Jedi'd the priest.
Oh yeah, you and I both agreed on that. How they played that was so bad.
That was so annoying. That was the most annoying part of the movie, actually.
Wow. God. Oy,
if they just would have gotten rid of that part that they did to the priest and that annoying nun and the inclusion gang of religion, this movie already would have been significantly better.
Yeah, because that's one of my biggest problems with it Yeah. So.
I
But
thought-
anyhow, I didn't even expect to talk about this long. I just figured it was kind of funny,
Well,
considering we all
it-
kind of predicted it was not going to go well.
on the surface, it doesn't seem like a topic that would have much to talk about, but when you actually break it down, think about it the way we all did and apply the possibilities, it is a more interesting topic because of everything that led up to it and the fallout. So yeah. Anyways, let's transition.
Yeah, we got a very generous trio of super chats. I just noticed this was not there was no duplication, Warrior Justice, so no worries. It was just StreamYard acting up for some reason. Nick even double checked it for me, so thank you for that, Nick. Warrior Justice
No
sends in
problem.
3 super chats in order here. Part 1. Hey y'all, I told this story on Doomcack last week, but I wanted to tell you anyway. All right. A lady where I lived, brother died by gun, so I told her rip to her brother. She said, I have a boyfriend. Part 2. I told her I have a brother who is 6 feet under, and she said, that's not funny. She's a OnlyFans model. Okay. I told her, you know what's funny? You can take 100 back shots but your brother can only take 1. Oh,
Wow.
Part 3. She told me I should be ashamed and I'm an asshole. And I told her the money I find in my couch, I can see your asshole. She walked away mad. Oh, Warrior Justice back again with all his hilarious stories and jokes. Thank you for that, Warrior Justice. We have a pro raid happening. Thank you, WDW Pro. We appreciate that, my friend. And actually, we're about to segue into our next topic here. As it was brought up in that last story, I don't know how many other Michael Jackson fans I have on the panel here, but this is something that's been in the talks now for a year. His nephew is going to be playing him, Jafar Jackson. Anton Fuqua is directing. We now have a date. As you noticed, it's taking the date from Exorcist Believer. So Michael Jackson will be back on the big screen on April 18th, 2025 with Michael, a biopic directed by Antoine Fuqua, starring the late King of Pop's nephew, Jafar Jackson, in his first major role. Lionsgate is releasing the movie domestically while Universal is handling overseas distribution. Film will begin production on January 22nd, produced by Bohemian Rhapsody's Graham King and scripted by John Logan. The official synopsis for the film reads, Michael will bring audiences a riveting and honest portrayal of the brilliant yet complicated man who became the king of pop. The film presents his triumphs and tragedies on an epic cinematic scale, from his human side and personal struggles to his undeniable creative genius, exemplified by his most iconic performances. As never before, audiences will experience an inside look into one of the most influential, trailblazing artists the world has ever known. So there we go.
I look forward to Razorfist's review of this.
I gotta go spicy here. If a black man does whiteface, will it be allowed?
Oh yeah, that's a really good question.
I don't think they're gonna whiteface
will.
his nephew up, but his nephew does look a lot like him. That's for sure. Not like exactly, but definitely got a family resemblance.
On paper, this sounds pretty decent.
Yeah. I hope it's great. I enjoy the music, and it sounds like they'll be positive about it, which I would prefer.
Yeah, it sounds like the family's involved and all that kind of stuff.
Family, Anton Fuqua is a good director in my opinion. At least I've seen some movies that I thought he was good. I don't think this is going to be an embarrassment.
And I don't even know how much of his latter life. I mean, they bring up the allegations and stuff in the story, but I'll be even surprised if they get too deep into that stuff. I have a feeling this is going to be a bit more like Elvis and Bohemian Rhapsody. It's going to be a bit more flamboyant and artistic, and it's not going to get too deep. Because Michael has always been kind of family friendly in a sense, and I know it sounds weird, but I think that his family is going to make sure that this is not like some R-rated, kind of movie.
Yeah. And if it's the same producer as Bohemian Rhapsody.
Exactly my point. That's why I think it's going to be a bit fluffy.
Actually, out of Elvis and Bohemian Rhapsody, both movies have flaws, as all biopics do, but I actually enjoyed Bohemian Rhapsody more The Elvis one, something about the Elvis one didn't sit well with me, and I can't fully. I'm still trying to understand what I didn't like about it.
The only thing I didn't care for with the Elvis one was the modern music in it. Otherwise, I actually give it a lot of credit for being the first Elvis movie to actually tackle Colonel Tom Parker. Because if you go back through all the other Elvis stuff, he is almost always ignored, but you know what kind of a role he played in Elvis's life. And this is the first time we actually got to see him as not only what he kind of was and kind of as the true villain that he is. And that's why I like the movie, the way it's kind of portrayed, because he kind of starts off narrating the movie like he thinks he's the hero, right? And he keeps talking like he's the hero when, and no, it's, you're the one who kept Elvis down, right? And that's the whole point of the film. And it's true, because he wouldn't let him tour outside of the US because he was afraid he was going to get arrested and extradited for his own stupid bullshit that he did when he was younger. And that's what he fucking escaped to the US for in the first place. You know, he put on this facade that he was, you know, this Southern producer, when actually he was just, and he lied about his service and all this other stuff. But no, he was some exile from some country. I can't even remember what country it was because he killed some dude.
Holland, I think it was Holland.
Holland, I think it was. Yeah, Sweden or Holland or something like that. Yeah. But yeah, no, Jafar though looks quite a bit like his uncle. I can see that, especially at this age. I think they made a good choice.
I just want to say one quick thing before I forget. The Elvis thing, I agree with you. The Tom Parker, I like that they showed the complexity of that character. It was actually Elvis himself, not the actor, but they kind of, I mean, I don't want to use a bad word here. They kind of made him like a little beta-ish. Do you get what I'm saying?
Oh, so he was a soy boy. I'll say it. He was a soy boy.
I don't know about that. My issue was they made him out to be a bit more of a white savior of black people than he really was in real life. Because that whole Elvis, like for instance, the music special that he does in the movie, you know, it's set up that it's all taking place, and then after Martin Luther King gets shot, he's like, I'm gonna sing this song. You know, and it's like, that's not even part of the special, Elvis. And like, no, that never happened. That was all planned that way before that even just happened to happen. It was just, so there's like little things like that. Yes, he did like, you know, the black community, and he gave him a lot of credit and obviously stole their music all the time. But but at the end of the day, I don't think he was that white of a savior as they present him in the film.
No, he wasn't a savior. And also, you know, there's parts that he's always kind of sad and he's miserable and he's this and that. There were years that this guy hung around with this Memphis Mafia, and they did like the craziest stuff that you don't see in this movie. All the women and the booze and the drugs. They don't really. I feel like this is the Disney version of Elvis. That doesn't feel.
It is a bit Disneyfied. And I wouldn't say Disneyfied, but anymore. But like, because then you would actually see him diddling the younger women. But
this doesn't seem like the day, like what that time of Elvis's life where he's the biggest star. I feel like other things happen that we're not seeing in this movie. If you know what I mean.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But like, again, like I said, this one is a bit more of a Colonel Tom Parker story at the end of the day, which I was fine with that aspect of it. And then the other end of it was Baz Luhrmann. So the fact that it was actually semi-normal, I think we can just kind of chalk it up to it.
It could have been worse.
Day, I guess.
It could have
exactly
been
my point. Like I was expecting it to be a hell of a lot worse. And that's probably why I enjoyed it as much as I did. It's one of the few times where you're watching Tom Hanks and after a while you forget that it's fucking Tom Hanks, because every time you see Tom Hanks, he's Tom Hanks.
He's Tom,
right?
Hanks.
And this is one time they've got him so buried under makeup and he's so good with the accent that you, after a while, just kind of forget that it's Tom Hanks, at least in my opinion. Some people have said they could. But,
no, I could. I agree with you. He was fine for this role.
But back to the Jackson 5 thing, or the Michael Jackson story, I should say, because I don't think they're going to dwell too much on the Jackson 5, because they kind of had the definitive Jackson 5 miniseries back in the day for ABC.
Yeah,
I don't think they're going to retread a lot of that. And that one was pretty straightforward. It showed Joe beating the hell out of those kids and everything.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty well done. So, I mean, they don't really need to retread any of that ground. Michael himself, though, definitely deserves a proper biopic at the end of the day. They did some VH1 crap back in the day that was garbage. There's been some other silly shit, but yeah, again, I don't know how many other fans there are on the panel, but
you know, I wouldn't say I'm a a fan of Michael Jackson. Obviously, I really respect his accomplishments, and I was initially one of those people who thought he was absolutely guilty. I'll admit it. And I, over time, was like, and I did start, it's probably around 2015, 16 years after it. I'm like, man, something did seem off about the situation. Then obviously, many more years later happened. I would see Mr. Fist's videos. I was just like, oh,
Yeah, I think there's a lot more to
okay.
that. In fact, I talked
And I'm sure there is.
to Razor Fist about doing a documentary about some of this stuff, and he kind of
He
was like,
talked with
maybe.
He
But
talked with some of the Jackson family members
yeah,
after, because they got wind of the videos that he did. I know he
but the
talked with
thing
a
that
few
we're
of them.
worried most about is legality and winding up in a dumpster somewhere.
I can't blame him for that. And from that perspective,
Yeah,
yeah.
you got to watch out with some of that stuff.
Because the thing is, and for those who don't know, to kind of dance around it as best I can, I agree and believe, because Razor Fist isn't the only one who's come to this conclusion, let's say, or at least alluded to this conclusion, possible conclusion, that a lot of Michael's problems stemmed from Sony Music trying to get him to sell his catalog and him refusing. And I wouldn't say that that's an impossibility, especially if you watch the timeline of events. Now, I'm not saying that they played a part in everything, but
I believe every bit of that. I have friends who've been in touring bands, some on small labels, some
look,
on
Suge Knight's
bigger
sitting in
labels.
prison.
All I'm trying to get is that labels are
I'm not
petty.
saying he has anything to do with it. I'm just saying, don't think that the music industry don't run like a mafia is all I'm getting at.
Oh,
Sorry.
it absolutely. No, you're right. It absolutely does. I've heard stories from friends like who've been in big touring bands, and I hear the absolute worst stuff about these labels, especially the major companies like the Atlantic, the Epic, the Virgin Records of the world. How it's Sony, of course, how they're all like this. It's like, wow, these companies are actually dumb, and they will go to really sick, demented lengths to get what they want. So I believe every bit of it, especially the more I learned about how the industry functions on the grand scale. Yeah, I believe all of it.
Yeah, I don't think he did it. I was going to say that. But I tremendously, although there are artists I like more, I tremendously respect the incredible amount of work that he put in.
Oh, yeah.
The productions were immaculate.
He earned it. He earned it.
Like the talent, not just to sing as well as he sings, right? But to do so while also like the choreography and the immense amount of energy it takes to dance on stage the way he did. It's a lot easier to stand in place and sing without like expending energy than it is to run around the stage and still be able to like not be winded, you know?
I saw him live.
Did you really? That's
yes, I
unfortunate
did.
because not a lot of because Michael was kind of the opposite of Elvis. Michael, it was almost impossible to catch him in the US. Outside the US, he was constantly touring worldwide, but it was hardly ever possible to see him inside the US. Bad, I think, was the last time he toured in the US before he was planning to for his This Is It tour before he died. But anyway, Price, what tour did you see him on? The Bad one, I imagine?
I saw him on, you're very correct. I saw him outside the country, and it was that, what was it? Dangerous? I think.
Oh, Dangerous. So you got to see him actually on the Dangerous tour? That was a hell of a fucking show. They did the HBO special for that one, man. Oh.
Yeah, it was a really good show. I was so happy, and over the years, I'm just so happy I got to see that, because I feel like not a lot of people, like you said, when I say that, it's kind of bragging rights. I don't think not a lot of people saw him live, so
it is. Like, you see a great artist in peak form, that's bragging rights.
Yeah, Dangerous tour was amazing.
That was an amazing tour.
I don't think he did Dangerous in history in the US, Corley and Rogue. I could be wrong, but
I feel like
pretty sure he did not.
I feel like, from what I remember, the scandal broke around the time that this thing was happening. I feel like there was a scandal and he was on that Dangerous tour, and I think that I saw him as the scandal was unfolding. But it didn't it didn't influence me in any way. I don't remember the timeline, but I remember going to the show and that place, I mean, it's not like the
He
place
may
was
have
empty.
canceled. I'm trying to remember.
It's not like the
I don't-
place was empty. I don't know if that scandal interested anybody. That place was full.
Well, that's the thing, is it didn't affect him outside the U.S. as much as it did in the U.S.
Probably.
Trying to look here. No, he only did Dangerous in Europe, Asia, and Latin America. I was right. In history, I think he did the same thing because the American market just really turned on him. Which is sad, but
say what you want, Tom, but Beat It is a big ripoff of Eat It. I don't care what anyone says.
Well, we got the Weird Al biopic to set that straight.
Yeah,
that was well timed, Clobby. Well timed.
I'm sorry, but that was hilarious.
Oh, do be sorry. That was hilarious.
That was the best part of the movie, and then when it gets into the
was-
Madonna stuff, that's when it went overboard for me. But it was like
it lived up to its title. Weird.
There was only one time ever, because Michael and Weird Al had a pretty good relationship, of course.
Yeah.
One time that Michael told him no, he could not do a song.
Really? Which one was it?
And that was for Black or White.
Okay.
Why
He
did he
only
want
did
to do it?
He said
songs.
he goes, the message is just too important for you to do any kind of parody to it. He goes, any other song, fine. Because like he let him do Eat It, he let him do Fat, no problem.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
So
those are the only two, right? The only two.
Yeah. I mean, he's used other
Fair
Michael
enough,
music here and there, and other things like in the Complete Al, State of Shock is in the thing, but like
he let him do
there's
that,
a few other things.
That parody he did on Now TV. I believe that
Yeah.
was pretty funny.
And then like Prince though was one he always wanted to, but Prince kept saying no.
Yeah,
No.
And he used to make fun of Prince over it.
And that's why I love him in the beginning of UHF video. Yeah, because he's Prince in the bathtub with doves.
Yeah, he was not happy that Prince wouldn't let him do it, but that's
Yeah,
Prince is incredibly protective.
Yeah, he doesn't like anybody doing any covers of his shit. And if he does give a song to somebody, he produces it usually for him. Or produced it, I should say, since he's gone now.
Good old Al.
Prince, even when he gave people songs, I think that later it annoyed him. I think Sinead O'Connor, he gave her Nothing Compares to You, and I always feel like he was unhappy about it.
I don't know if he gave that one to her. I think she just covered that one. But like I know Manic Monday, he actually gave them the music. Like he produced the music for him. He's like, you got to do it like this. Like he was a lot like Paul McCartney like that. To where when he would say, yeah, you do it, here's a song for you. Vanity was the same way. He would control a lot of that shit. Like all that music was him producing it and stuff like that, from my knowledge. So
there you go.
Anyway, I know we had the music guys here, so I definitely want to get their take on that. But
absolutely. Who would have thought these topics had more merit to them than we originally thought?
Well, this one
over 40 minutes
is one that hits home, because this is just blew up in the last day or so. I don't know how many of you all out there saw this or not, but there's this new AI generated special from George Carlin. And I listened to the whole thing. And it started getting some traction.
Okay. And then
And his daughter finally said something about it here. Or should say finally. She just said something about it here. So trying to find her quote here. Or how she present it. Because I'm still kind of confused what it is. Because what this is, and I don't even know if I should play any of it. It claims to be an AI that generated an AI version of George Carlin and did a full special. I'm not convinced. I think it's pre-written and or heavily edited. There's maybe both. Yeah, and I think
I think it's AI.
Because we listened to it for a little bit before the show, and like I said, I listened to the whole thing and I played a few bits for these guys. So
I think an ultra left person wrote it.
That's my other thing. See, because that's the thing with Carlin, is he's always been quite the lefty,
but he hates politicians.
But he hates politics in general. Yeah.
Yeah. He just happened to be politically left, but he does not like politicians in general.
Two things I notice, and one is definitely AI capable, which is for an AI to study an AI to be trained on all of his previous content when he was alive, and then you just kind of replicate jokes he already told when he was alive and what things that he did right,
And kind of
but
apply
you
it to
replace
modern things. Yeah.
you replace the punchline with something that's more modern, but it's still like based on his original joke. But what I was hearing when we watched it prior to the show, there's a heck of a lot of bias, and it's like whoever did this kind of just used it as a mouthpiece for their own beliefs. Because there's a point where you can do that first thing I mentioned, right, where you can just kind of replace the punchline, but it's not like taking a hard position. But then there's that second degree where you start assuming what he would have believed about a situation, about a modern situation, and that gets a bit tougher to take.
Yeah, let's play a little bit of this here. And this is actually I'm actually probably playing one of the better bits here, to be honest with you. So I'm actually giving them even if they want to claim me or whatever the fuck they're gonna do, I'll just cut it out later if they do. I'm actually giving them the benefit of showing one of the better bits in this hour-long deal here. So here we go. I'm not going to play the entire clip, but I'll play a little bit of it.
Because Americans love reality TV, like it or not. It's the lifeblood of American culture. It's got the 4 basic food groups of the standard American media diet: fighting and crying and fucking and dying. The James Webb Telescope is sending back crystal clear images of light from stars that died billions of years ago. Stars that were formed in the crucible of creation. These are snapshots of the birth of the known universe, the moment existence itself was born. And nobody gives a shit. Because a picture of space has no fighting, no crying, no fucking, no dying. If you want the American public to pay attention to something, it's got to have at least a little fighting, a little crying, a little fucking, or a little dying. In the last 3 years, the U.S. government said aliens are real. They said it in the New York Times, for fuck's sake. They admitted they have, in their possession, crashed UFOs in hangars. They admitted that they're trying to reverse engineer non-human technology, which means they've been lying to the American public and the whole world for 80 years about knowing the answer to the biggest question in fucking human existence. Are we alone? They told you the answer. We're not, and no one cares, because a grainy infrared video of a UFO ain't got no fighting, no crying, no fucking, and no dying.
Yeah, now, of course, the voice is AI. I see a lot of people going, oh, that's AI. That's it. Yes, the voice is clearly AI. But the way they're presenting this. Okay, well, here's my thing with the voice. I think the voice is the AI trying to generate. It's taking, because what it did is it watched all 14 of his specials, and it tried to generate. And this is the idea that they're claiming, is that it generated an entire hour-long modern day special based on the idea, if George Carlin was still alive today, what would he write a special about? And so it's an AI voice, and it's probably amalgamizing somewhere between what he used to sound like when he was younger, what he sounded like when he was older, and then it's trying to figure out, well, if he was still alive 15 years after the fact, what would he sound like as an 80-year-old man? So I think that's what the AI is trying to do. So that's why the voice is kind of weird, other than just being AI in general. Yeah. Now, my other point is I think it's either heavily edited, so they edit around all the nonsensical shit that an AI would come up with, or as like you guys were saying too, and I think you guys are on the same page I am, somebody else wrote this and just fed it to an AI voice thing, is what I think happened.
That's what I think.
That's
what do you think?
I think that somebody fed this thing to the AI, the content itself. Maybe he got some ideas from kind of one of those chat GPTs, but at the end, I think somebody put this together and fed it into a AI. But really, even though the voice sounds like it's AI, it keeps getting better, this technology, and it is kind of spooky that they can just take a person and make him talk for an hour.
Yeah, I mean, because there's some bits that it's just like, I'm not so sure an AI could even understand that. So that's where it makes me wonder if it's being written by somebody else, or if it is really AI written because it has either strong biases one way or the other, or it's just pulling shit from the internet for news sources and stuff like that, for statistics and other things, because it is heavily left. And I know Carlin was always a lefty, but again, he hated all politicians and hated all politics, right? So like that's something that, yeah. But anyway, just to continue, just play
People
a
care
little bit
about
here.
instead who Taylor Swift is fucking. Jesus Christ, you really care a lot about that. If she's spotted with anyone, anywhere, the first thing everyone seems to be thinking is, are they fucking? It's global front page news. Everyone must know who Taylor Swift is fucking at all times. And we must all discuss it and have our opinions. You're at Starbucks. Would you like your Frappuccino almond milk pumpkin spice latte iced or hot? Oh, and did you see who Taylor Swift is fucking? You're at work. Great sales meeting today, everyone. But before we break, could I just get a real quick show of hands? Who has seen who Taylor Swift is fucking?
Yeah,
You're at church. Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned.
And
Yes, my
has,
son, but have you seen who Taylor
kind of
Swift is fucking?
Let me see if I can find it here. It has a whole
Seems
section
that
on
many
AI.
of you are scared of AI, and I'll be honest, I don't really get why. You all think it's going to replace your jobs, and you somehow think that's a bad thing. When did everybody all of a sudden start liking their jobs? When I was alive, people hated their fucking jobs. They complained about them all the time. They fantasized about killing their bosses. And every once in a while, they actually did kill their boss. What happened to the America I knew and loved? Now people learn that an incredible new technology is going to eliminate the need for the meaningless labor they've been doing to keep billionaires in power for tens of thousands of years. And so, everybody says, but what about my job? They got.
So Kelly, his daughter, actually had a comment on this on Twitter Wednesday evening regarding the special. She says, and I quote, "My dad spent a lifetime perfecting his craft from his very human life, brain, and imagination. No machine will ever replace his genius. These AI-generated products are clever attempts at trying to recreate a mind that will never exist again. Let's let the artist's work speak for itself. Humans are so afraid of the void that we can't let what has fallen into it stay there. Here's an idea. How about we give some actual living human comedians a listen to?" Well, the problem is, Kelly, they all suck. But if you want to listen to the genuine George Carlin, he has 14 specials that you can find.
Yeah.
Here, Kelly. And again, yeah, people pointed out Kelly is really left wing. I know she listened to this whole thing, but that's the thing to me, is it feels extremely biased. Some of the jokes, yeah, they sure feel like something George would have written, but some of them feel very generic or like we've heard him elsewhere before. And I think I'm the only one on the panel who listened to the whole hour-long thing, but yeah.
George was the lefty who actually liked America. Whereas today's
he didn't
left
like the government,
not,
but he liked America. Yes,
yeah, he liked America, but and there is a separation and distinction, which is something a lot of people don't understand. Today's hyper left absolutely hates everything about it and wants to play revisionist history. So there is a dramatic difference in that. Now, regardless of all that said, yeah, obviously I agree with her on all her positions. I just, once again, give some new people who have talent a chance and give them the mainstream push, if you will, rather than try to recreate something that's already been done from a guy who's no longer living among us. So he said, like, why do we have to keep going and say, okay, let's revisit these guys from the past and bring it tomorrow? No, we don't need to. Just leave it alone. Let it be the thing that it once was. Say, if you want that, go visit that stuff in the past. Not everything needs to go on forever. That's just something that every industry, major industry that provides entertainment won't let go of. They don't want anything to ever end. At what point do we say, okay, we need to give something new? Like, how is anyone going to have a head start if we all rely strictly on the past? Because even when you bring up newer guys, you're expecting them to do something that's based off a past model anyways. You need to let new people in from top to bottom, not just the entertainment faces, but the people who run the industry. Otherwise, at some point, we're just not going to have an industry to talk about if they keep doing this. And I don't think anyone wants to be industryless.
That I found this last night, and this all happened last night. when I just watched this and Raw for the first time in years last night. And I imagine all of you have seen this on the panel.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
For
yeah.
sure, for sure.
Oh,
And here's
I was lucky enough to see him perform live in '85, I believe it was.
Oh,
Eddie?
Eddie Murphy,
never
yeah.
go. Wow.
Nice.
Oh yeah, and that was
Do
great.
tell,
It was,
man.
so that was between
Oh.
Delirious and Raw.
it was right before Raw, not too long before Raw. Yes, it was between those 85-ish, I believe. 85
Yeah.
in Baton Rouge. And,
I think-
and
Awesome.
oh my goodness, man!
You
It
may
was
have
so
beaten
exciting.
the Michael Jackson thing. Like I had Michael Jackson, but you saw Eddie Murphy stand up in his prime.
Yeah, right.
Ah,
That's
it's,
That's-
So
That
that's
may-
the thing is he hasn't done, that's the thing
it was
is
amazing.
Eddie has not done stand up since Raw. Right? Like he
No.
did the ultimate fucking mic drop there. It's
A
like
lot of what we saw, we ended up in this next movie, which was Raw,
Yeah.
I believe.
and because he technically did 2 albums, Delirious, which is part of the one album.
Yeah, love
he
it.
did
Oh,
Raw.
listened to it a million times. I like that better than Raw. Raw's great, but yeah.
And he has not done a stand up since 1987.
Wow. Yeah, he
He's
did.
talking
He got
about
out of
it.
the he got out of the stand-up business.
He wants to. And
He got out of
he's got to deal with Netflix. I think he's supposed to be doing a new special at some point here, but I don't know
Yeah.
how it's going for him. He's talked about it in a few places, so I think it's going to happen eventually here.
We were told not to bring recorders, and we couldn't sneak them in, and we just decided we didn't want to get thrown out. So we went
Right.
safe and didn't bring them in. And I saw other some bitches with them. Like, oh man, we should have
Yeah.
done it. Arr! I mean, we got to hear it all later in some of his movie, you know. But
Yeah.
yeah, we didn't sneak
Yeah.
them in there. We chickened out. We didn't want to get thrown out.
There's a specific place to sneak stuff in.
We're
It's
gonna
in the
do it,
place
but-
that they'll never actually pat down. And
We
that's
didn't
how you
want to
do
take
it.
the chance, you know. I mean, we should have. Oh.
I think they're gonna go for a grab on you up front, right
They
there.
were. They
You
were.
can't
they were-
you can't even try anymore with phones and shit. A phone has a better recorder than most
No.
old classic
Well, they were searching
recorders
people,
would have had.
but that is we had some of those little ones. But yeah, but now I hear that, like for example, Joe Rogan takes your phone away. He makes people put phones.
Oh yeah,
in-
most comedians,
he
yeah,
makes
they
it
won't
in a
allow like
bag.
in the concerts they like not
You have to turn
concerts
it
a little
off
harder,
and
but
put it in a bag
yeah.
at Rogan's concerts anyway.
Yeah, I've heard a
Yeah,
lot of
I
them.
went-
I like that.
I went to a Melvin's concert once, and they weren't taking our phones away, but nobody had their phones out, and I noticed that, and I was kind of impressed by it. So maybe it just kind of depends on what crowd you're in. But there was
I
no
guess.
phones
My
at
house.
that one.
You know what it is?
This was a very obviously he was huge, so this was not at some small place. This was at a big place where they played basketball and stuff. It was a,
Right.
like the
a
LSU,
stadium. Yeah.
LSU Assembly Center, if I remember
Center,
correctly. So that, you know,
If
they
you
played-
don't like it, you get the fuck out. I just meant by like what you could smuggle in back then, and a lot of little small recorders were garbage.
Yeah,
Like
we had one access to one too. We said no, we're gonna get thrown out. They were searching, but we could have probably got it by somehow.
all right. You wanna scream a little bit or laugh a little bit, Klobby? I don't know which one you're gonna do here.
I'll try.
Star Trek origin stories.
Blech. I'm sorry.
Set from Andor director. And Star Trek 4 is still in the works.
Yeah. So what origin? Didn't they already do the stupid origin?
It's
The
on-
horrible Jar Jar Abrams trash. What is there to do?
Oh Lord. There's a lot of shit going on behind the scenes over at Trek right now. I think Andre's finally gonna get to a Trek video here soon. So
Even
But
forget
yeah.
how much I hate Jar Jar Abrams. I'm actually just saying, what would there be to tell an origin of at this point?
I don't know. So a new Star Trek film is supposedly in the works at Paramount with Andor's Toby Haynes on board to direct.
Mhm.
And Seth Graham Smith penning the script, Variety has confirmed. While plot details are being kept under wraps, the upcoming feature will be an origin story and is set decades before the 2009 Star Trek film, as well as the expansion of the Star Trek universe J.J. Abrams' Bad Robot is producing. Meanwhile, the fourth installment of the rebooted Star Trek film series remains in development, the studio describing it as the final chapter in the third film's 2016 Star Trek Beyond's cruise. USS Enterprise crash lands on a mysterious world after being attacked by... That's just getting into
Sounds
that.
like the rebooting Enterprise.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was thinking too.
I feel like this is some kind of maneuver that they're trying to sell something. They're doing what George Lucas did when he said that he's making movies. I feel like I don't believe they're making any of these movies.
I don't believe them either. They're not making this. They're not making 4, and they're not making this.
I could be wrong, but I would be surprised if either of these movies come out.
Big surprise for me too. Absolutely with you. I've been saying that about 4 since they talked about it. Because basically, bottom line is, and as much as I hate the 09 trash, it actually did well. However, the subsequent films did not, and that's the bottom line right there. That's why they were always dragging their feet on 4. But these people always feel like they have to announce something and have it out there, and the announcements is all they really live off of.
They're trying to prop up the value of this thing.
It's such a dead franchise; it's not going to work. They might make some other TV show before they ever make one of these movies.
Kurtzman killed it, so even if they try to prop it now, it's probably not going to work.
Agreed.
I mean, I would argue that Axanar killed it, but they both did.
Axanar, that's for fan. It's a fan thing, though. Who else knows anything?
Yeah, but I mean, it ended fan films, which were at the time becoming better than anything Paramount or CBS could have put out themselves.
But only fans care about them, so they're trying to cater to that. That's why Abrams' crap is so bad. It's taking Trek and catering it to dummies, to the lowest common denominator. Yeah, it's not going to happen. It's so hilarious, though, that the first thing they would announce, they won't even try to say we're going to do something newer moving forward. They'll say 4 is going to happen, but we want to do another prequel. Sure, guys, whatever. Why? How far back are you going to go? You're going to go back another 200 years? Why? Who wants to see that? They don't care. That's what they even did it with PR season 2. It's like, I don't know. We need to go back in time. Everything's about going backwards. Star Trek, in its very soul, in its essence, is about going forward. That's what it's all about, and they never do that anymore. Even in the fake Trek.
Yeah, I'm not so sure I see these happening either. This feels like a desperation play to me. But we'll have to see what happens here. We got some super chats. We got Mecca J sending in $5. Says, I highly recommend watching the Dr. Michael Jackson Square One on YouTube. It really goes into debunking the first allegations. Oh, excellent. I'll check into that one. Of course, I've seen Razor Fists and stuff like that. Yeah. Thank you for the recommendation, Mecca J, and the $5. Then we got G-Dog in the house. How you doing, G-Dog? Sending us in a super sticker. Let me see if I can see what that was. It was a thumbs up. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't already. We appreciate that here at the channel. That helps us out quite a bit. And Goddess Wim says, is it my birthday? Can I get a bad? Well, of course you can get a bad time shout out. Hang on 1 minute. Let me get him.
Oh, yeah. Happy birthday, Goddess of Whim.
Woo! Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
What? Hello. Oh, it's a lady's birthday. Hello. Hello. When it's the lady's birthday, I try to make it a little more special. Like, I sing it with a rose in my mouth. Let's see how this works here. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you, Sasha Mama. Happy birthday to you. Ole. Is that sexy, like? Well, as long as I don't get another sexual harassment suit, I think I'm good. Happy birthday, young lady.
Wow.
And with that, he's gone.
He
just leaves.
Man, I love Fat Tom. He's such a nice guy.
Well, happy birthday, Goddess of Whim.
Yes,
and hopefully
indeed.
it's a very happy birthday indeed. And she says, thanks. Well, you're welcome. Hopefully it made your birthday. Mickey Rourke is Bat Tom. Kinda. He's a lot of different things. He's many, many different things. But yeah, that's really all I had for you guys today. I can't believe we got through all those topics so quickly.
And you know what? We not only do we cruise through them, but we are very conversive throughout all of them as well, which
Yeah.
makes it kind of cool too.
I mean,
so yeah.
I think there was like one or two of you who tried to watch Echo. If you guys want to talk about it quick, I don't give a shit.
I thought we were all supposed to watch it except for Tom.
I
So I
tried.
did.
I watched the entire thing.
Oh no!
I tried.
Oh, how did you? I got
That's
through 3
right.
episodes,
I got through
and that was
2
very
and I
difficult.
Yes.
Dude, I got through 2. I don't know how I did it. I can't.
Yeah,
do it
I
anymore.
got through 2, and that was tough. And I don't feel like it was
Woo.
the worst thing ever, but it was not good at all. It was
Good
like
for,
just
good for sleep.
yeah, it was. All right, since absolutely no one, and I mean no one, and I mean no one cares about spoilers. This is another show with a protagonist, quotation marks protagonist, who acts like a villain to fulfill her needs. Straight up.
She is a villain.
Who is acting?
Well, yeah, she's
Everyone-
to be fair, in the
Her
comics, she is a
sexual
villain,
needs, or
but they're trying to give her this protagonist angle, which is absolutely dumb. It's like them trying to make Kraven an anti-hero for that Sony movie. None of these things need to happen. These characters are villains. Stop trying to get us to care about them. And Echo is a villain through and through. And that Daredevil scene, it pissed me off for the reason you don't expect. And that's the thing for the chat who didn't watch it. It wasn't like Echo won the fight and she obliterated him. No, that's not what happened at all. The actual issue that happened was, Daredevil and Echo had their encounter, and he proceeds to basically take her down, shockingly, but then he just takes off. Never to be seen or heard from again. And to me, that is what's done, because that's not something Daredevil would do. Daredevil would make sure her ass was taken to the police, put her in, if she needs to be put through legal procedures. Obviously Matt Murdock or someone close to Matt Murdock can take care of that. But no, he just takes off.
Not only that, look, how could she even hang with him? At this point, she doesn't have any powers. And we get like some flashbacks of her as a young girl, like at a dojo for 5 minutes, like learning how to, she can fight Daredevil. Yeah, shut up.
No, she can't. I'm actually shocked that he actually took her down, because I was expecting for her to obliterate him. I'm actually shocked.
Agreed, but
she has one leg. She's a little bit plump, and yet she's beating up all these dudes,
including
just completely
Daredevil.
crushing them.
They also MCU-ified her character by giving her like this power-like thing that I still fully don't understand. Her character does not have that. She's more of like a Bullseye meets Taskmaster assassin who can mimic abilities.
But
they
not
took her from
comics, not on this show. On this show, she's
comics,
nothing.
I know. I'm talking about the comics. They took her and made her an MCU character where everyone needs to have, actual powers, not be a street level character. I hate that they changed that about her. Like, I was never like a major fan of her, but I always thought, she was fine. But she's a supporting character at best. She's not a main character ever. Once again, not every character needs a fully fleshed out show or movie. She's proof why you don't need that.
Well, that's for sure. Mecha J, he took Kingpin's awful, but Praise the Reason is the one who took the more arrows than any of us, because he sat through all of it. So
go ahead, Bryce. I've been on a tangent. So.
No. Your tangent is totally legitimate. I feel the same. Everything you said, I agreed with every word that you just said. And I'm just going to add to what you were saying about her powers, that it's so stupid. She just one moment realizes that her hands light up. And it turns out that the reason this is happening, and I'm not kidding, it's because for thousands of years, there have been Native American female girl bosses that have always been the best. I'm not making this up. There have been for thousands of years these girl bosses that are always the best. And now it's like she connects through time and space to all the girl bosses, and like their spirits are giving her the. It's true, spirits are giving her the power.
Am I the only one who find this very stereotypically racist?
I think it is. I think that in an effort to be so quote unquote diverse and inclusive, it couldn't seem more. It kind of does seem that way.
She's basically a slayer. Yes, exactly. She's a slayer, Joey.
That's her only skill. She doesn't have any other skill. That she remembers her ancestors. That's her skill.
Like that shirt. Look at doggy. Look at doggy back there. Like,
I
what the
can't
hell
even
am I doing?
with this shit anymore. With all this fucking, that has got to be some of the most racist shit I've ever heard in my life.
That is so bad.
The other thing
I'm
about
not
diversity
crying.
hires,
I'm not crying at all,
like,
by the way. I'm not crying.
they had to hire a native person who's deaf and has one leg. So they couldn't really base their hiring practices on somebody who's trained to act.
No,
and she
she's
has
terrible.
one face, one expression through the whole show. It's resting bitch face.
Yes.
And furthermore, they decided they wanted to make a silent film. I mean, basically the majority of it is, and whenever it's not, whenever anybody's actually talking, they're doing sign language and they're doing their best William Shatner impression because they have to do the sign language, and it's literally sounds like everyone's talking like William Shatner. But a lot of the time, it's just sign language, and it's like this music in the background. It's literally a silent film.
I can breathe again.
I like silent films, but you need your acting talent in those movies to be very expressive.
She has no charisma whatsoever.
The woman playing Echo has no expressions other than resting bitch face. It's just like a stone face in every scene. I can't connect with this.
And the scene with her mother, those scenes with her mother where they're talking and they're just doing the sign language, it's just, I'm not trying to be mean or insensitive, but for long stretches of time when you have that, and especially like you said, the mother actress was better than her, but with her and that whole situation for long stretches of time, it's difficult. I do feel bad for her. I mean, she hasn't done anything wrong. They gave her a job and she took it. The lead actress.
Totally agreed.
I don't have any ill will towards her. You know, if I was in her position and Kevin Feige walked into my home with an envelope, I do whatever he says. You know what I mean? Like, what do I care?
Yeah, she's fine. I mean,
and if I met her in reality, I'd be kind to her. But it's
in
not
other
a
words,
great
what Price
performance.
is saying is $20 is $20.
No.
Please
don't do this to me.
Yeah. Take your 20s where you can get them, dude. Sure, she got a couple of C notes.
Heck, even if Feige walked
shot in the mouth.
My stomach actually hurts right now.
Even if Feige walked into my home and said, "Hey, like we want you to be the new Captain Marvel," I'd probably do it.
Do I got to chop my dick off to do it though? I mean,
no, I wouldn't do that. But if I just collect the money and I'm in a movie, I know it's
wait
the
a
worst
minute.
movie
So
ever.
was this chick actually amputee before this, or did Kevin be like,
Yeah,
"Look,
that was-
you
that
have
was the
this
whole
role,
point, right?
but
Hmm?
you got to make a sacrifice"?
In the
They
biopic
had to
about
hire
Kevin
somebody who
Feige,
was, they had to hire an actual person who is native, can't hear, and has one leg. That's my
I was gonna say,
understanding, unless I'm wrong.
The only thing that would make this show worth watching for me is if Rocket Raccoon had just showed up and said, "I'm going to get that leg." That's the only thing that would make it worthwhile for me at this point, because I could give a fuck. And I even watched Hawkeye, and that's the only one of the Disney shows I finished.
I hated that show. That was terrible.
I liked it up until the last episode when they nerfed fucking Fisk, and they made it this whole like weird fucking comedy all of a sudden.
Did you like seeing Hawkeye stuck in the Christmas tree?
stuck in a tree.
No, that was the other part that I hated
bullshit.
too. Because up until that point, I didn't even
sorry.
mind Kate Bishop all that much because they didn't. She was confident, but
okay.
she was
actually
fucking
wasn't that
shit
bad.
up, and it helped that the actress was likable. That
She's
was
lo-
a
she's-
Yes.
big part of it.
Yes, charisma, unlike Echo, and she's really not cute. Again, yeah, the what's her name? Steinfeld. The lady,
Haley Steinfeld, I think it was. Yeah,
she's got a lot of charisma and everything.
Yes.
So of course she's fine,
That
even though the
helps.
show sucks.
And she's
the
easy on the eyes.
was. Yeah, the show was mediocre overall up until the very end when it totally went off a cliff. But again, and I said that during when I was watching, I'm like, the only reason this is watchable, the only reason this character is not every other Mary Sue we've seen before, for the most part, is that they don't have her be perfect right away, which is a plus. And she's just not obnoxious.
Right.
Because I mean, if she was anybody else and saying half the shit that she was in the show, I don't think we would have liked her.
And
because
she's
it's
easy
just-
on the eyes.
Agreed.
Well, that helps, but it's just more or less her personality more
That
than
is
anything.
very crucial. Very
Yeah.
crucial.
It is crucial, but she could have been easy on the eyes and then boring. She's actually really good. She's, like I said, the relationship between she and Hawkeye is fairly decent. It's just the shit thing has a terrible story. The whole story's garbage, and she kicked Kingpin's ass, which is stupid.
Yeah,
that's the other thing I had a problem with, and that's where I was like, that's where it went Mary Sue. Yeah.
Yeah. So and then, but the Echo stuff and that was boring. So we knew this show was going to be boring.
Hey, Captain Palsy's in the house. Thank you so
Hey.
much for being here and being a member for 16 months. How you been, buddy? Thank you for that. But yeah, no, that's really all I had for you guys today.
Gotcha.
Wow.
Unless there was anything else, you guys, I can't remember what you brought up in the chat. If there was anything else, I think we hit
you're good,
about
dude.
everything. Yeah. So yeah, I'll be on the morning. I'll be on the morning show tomorrow.
You're here.
And let's see what you guys got going on. Clobby, you got a show tonight?
Yes, sir. And at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, the Clubhouse with Raquel and Mark. And yeah, then tomorrow night on my buddy J-Man show, we're reviewing Frank Miller's Daredevil run. And of course, we're gonna be doing that for quite some time, many weeks. And then Saturday night Star Trek, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time on, oddly enough, Saturday night. Yeah.
Awesome sauce. CC, what you got coming up tomorrow night? I know you got karaoke, right?
Typically we do karaoke on Friday nights at 10 p.m. Pacific time. It's going to be really, really cold tomorrow night, so we'll see how I feel, but that's the plan anyways. As Friday night karaoke.
All right. Nick. Well, Nick will be, I think,
right here.
There you are.
Sorry, I had blah, blah, blah. All right. Anyways, yes, I will come on TNT in an hour and a half. It's gonna be great and huge. So please come hang out with us. Watch the Fantabulous Disaster and watch Tom be blown away by it. Tomorrow night, Comic Shop Talk as well. We'll be hanging out. We'll have open geek discussion, having Hojo as a guest as well, and I'll be recording a video in a few minutes. I'll have it on in the morning. And Toxic Tuesday next week. Rambo Part 3. So, yeah. Thanks for having me, Tom. Good to hang out with you, Price, CC, and Klobby. And to our chat, thank you for being here. And to our wrenches, thank you for your services. D-Buds, the Mechas, the Goddesses. Once again, happy birthday to Goddess. Yeah. I hope to see you all real soon on a video or my stream or one of the other streams. Thank you.
Thank you for being here, Nick. And Price, what you got going on?
I'm working on that Echo review, and I've kind of been dragging my feet, but I think I'll be done with it by tomorrow. And tonight, we're doing at 10 p.m. the Quantum Leap thing. I mean, I didn't hear from Script. It seems like he's maybe busy, but hopefully we're doing it at 10 p.m. like we usually do. So that's tonight on my live channel.
Sounds good. All right. I may drop into TNT. I don't know yet. We'll see. Depends on how I feel. I might just go to bed. I don't know.
I'll be.
I might just come all over your face, neck, and chest.
Pat Finch, be careful what you wish for. If you like Squadron Supreme, you don't want MCU touching.
Yeah. We don't. Nowadays, it's best that we don't want.
They're gonna ruin Thunderbolts. So.
Oh, they're ruined Thunderbolts. If they ever touch Richard Rider, they will destroy Richard Rider.
Everything
there's no point for wanting an adaptation of anything from any major franchise nowadays. There's just not.
Nope. Anyway, sorry, Tom.
Nope. No, you're fine. I'm just tired. It's been a long fucking day.
Lots to do.
And not looking forward to the snow we're getting. So yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. We had a super chat here too. Sorry about that, Jason Webster. Sent in Australian $20. This came in right in between there. My bad. Kathleen Kennedy. Well, I should put on the voice.
Well, my stunning and brave Star Wars films are the bestest ever. Well, that's what my writing group and my cousin's sister's best friend's brother's 10-year-old daughter thinks. Okay?
Yeah. So there.
It's about time the Force was female and we had a director that was a woman.
Yeah. Yeah, what she said.
Thank you, Jason Webster, for that. We appreciate that. And I'm sure we'll talk a bit more about that kind of crap tomorrow morning on the morning show. So hopefully we'll see you guys all there. And yeah, I think I'll send you guys over to Echo Base. They just went live here a little bit ago.
Good night, everybody.
Ooh, good night.
Tell them we sent you. And don't forget to check out Klobby or TNT tonight. Take care, guys.
Thank you.